Yeah. So, hey, Adi, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And I just, without wasting any time, I just like to get started with my questions. I know
Sure.
you are a geopolitics person, and this question may not be exactly in that area, but I still wanted to ask it. And it was about taxation. And there's a lot of, 2, 3 weeks ago, there was a lot of controversy about the popcorn thing and how GST was supposed to simplify it, but has not in certain sectors. And when it was launched, people were very bullish on it. So, where do you stand in this debate about the GST, and does it need reforms, major reforms, and immediately or not?
I don't think so. These are little things that keep happening. These are not very significant circumstances. There are issues. There is no question. When there is a mistake, there is a mistake, and that needs to be resolved. I don't think that there's such a bigger, this thing. Anybody who can afford a popcorn and which is basically going to a movie, he can, pretty much look at this a little bit. And movies aren't cheap in India today. So if people are saying, oh, this is because of the middle class and middle class is getting this thing, these are all political narratives. And they die off as soon as they actually, anything else comes in. With this era of lightning media, if I may call it, it's basically what you see is that every day there has to be some controversy or the other. And this comes from both the sides. It's not something which is just being done by the opposition. Even the ruling party pulls up certain narratives and pushes it across. And that's the game today. You just have to make sure that you're keeping the online space engaged and ensuring that you have the wherewithal and the kind of uh, presence online on an aggressive pattern to ensure that the other party is just kept under low. Baki, having said that, in such scenarios, what I feel is I don't think there's a reform which is needed, because at the end of it, GST is a brand new thing. What is needed is a simplification exercise, and where some sort of a non-bureaucratic committee could sit down, because this stinks of bureaucracy, if nothing else. So this is basically to do with simplification of things, and that's something that would be required. That's not a major reform. That's just a change in thought process.
Yeah, moving on to geopolitics, I'd say Bangladesh seems to be doubling down on its stance on India, and also at the same time, it's strengthening its ties with Pakistan. So, where do you see the future of India-Bangladesh ties taking forward, given that Bangladesh has summoned the Indian envoy, India has summoned the Bangladesh envoy, and stuff like that?
See, Bangladesh is it's not. Even I do a daily update on Bangladesh, and I really come to know that yeah, Bangladesh is Bangladesh, but it is not um, you know really Bangladesh. This is also a foreign influence which is there, which is making these people do these kind of stupid things. As a matter of fact, provoke India and get India stuck, and that's what the global powers would want. Uh, India to make a mistake, so that they can kind of grab the net. They've been trying to throw you inside a cage for the past 10 years. You've not sat inside the cage, you've broken out every time. They've done, look at the way they've gone ahead and done stuff. They've divided you as a country. They've played caste narratives. They've had violence in your country. They've sponsored bloody political separatism. They've sponsored all sorts of things, from religious conversions to everything. So they have not really spared you, and they always would want you to be in a certain amount of trouble. And for that, Bangladesh comes very handy. And one of the things that we know is that their use of radical Islam, we see that in Syria, we see that in Pakistan, we see that in Afghanistan, we see that in Bangladesh, we see that in multiple other places. They've been using these entities to kind of create a geopolitical drift, kind of create a geopolitical advantage for themselves, to create chaos, because chaos you can kind of control from the outside. You can put up a puppet, you can do all sorts of things, right? So they've done all this stuff to you, and we've kind of pushed it back all the time. Here is a country where they are now saying, okay, here is another challenge for you. Can you handle this? So yeah, you will have ups and downs in this entire game. There'll be days when you'll be up, and there'll be days you'll probably say, yeah, and a day like yesterday when the border guards kind of clashed, uh, what our news forgets to tell us and our clickbait media forgets to actually tell you is that the Times of India article that really said that the border work is stopped, within the same article at the bottom is written the work is actually going on at the same speed.
Yeah. So, do you Do you see things changing when Trump takes the office?
Well, yeah, the ecosystem will change, and I think the support structure for Mohammed Yunus and the whole Jamaat game will change. They won't have that kind of support anymore. They won't have the kind of standing anymore. They won't have the kind of financial push and everything like that. But having said that, the problem is not going to go away. Yunus might. Yunus might just stand up and run, but the jihadi influence within Bangladesh is going to remain. And that's something we looked over for a long time. I mean, we knew this was there. Sheikh Hasina kind of pushed it down into the and locked it up, but she didn't really, make a permanent solution for it. And that's something I've said much miles before. I'm no fan of Sheikh Hasina, but I don't like what's happening right now as well. And there has to be solutions. I call this the correction of the Indian neighborhood. You see, it started up with Maldives, it started up with Sri Lanka, it started up. Those two countries have kind of stabilized and kind of realized that, live peacefully, it's better. If we had some issues with Bhutan, that is kind of sorted out. We had some issues of antagonism from Nepal. Today, they are quite quiet. It's not yet resolved, but they're quiet. It will kind of take its time. And I think in uh, the next target post Bangladesh would be this. We've had some issues with Myanmar. Today, we are dealing with all the sides and things are kind of calming down. So, yeah, this is no country in the world has a peaceful neighborhood. Show me one global power that kind of is friendly with, uh, superbly friendly with its neighbor. There's nothing. Even America has issues. They have huge issues of drug trade, illegal migration, of violence, of Mexico, especially, they've got major challenges. They've got major challenges from Canada because Canada is doing human trafficking, throwing people inside. Russia, they've got pretty boundary issues with Ukraine. They've got an antagonistic neighbor with Poland and all these guys. China, which has got, fights with everyone. Saudi Arabia, which is sitting in front of Iran. Major issues there. They've got Yemen on the other side, which has another bloody fire. So there's no country in the world that has a peaceful neighborhood. It'll never happen. There's nothing perfect in this world. You will have these issues, and Bangladesh is going to be a boil on your backside for the time to come. But having said that, there are ways that you will be able to mitigate it. One, you should be able to control its inflow and outflow. Make it dependent on you so that you can turn off and on the switch when you want to, and that is very critical. You've recently seen the rice and all that stuff. They've have major issues with rice. Now they've signed a contract. You're selling to them more expensive than what you sell it in India, by the way. So you're making money there as well. Plus, you've hitched on to his dependency. Food is a major issue there. You should be able to actually do stuff like that, to kind of put some pressure on this thing. Having said that, on the border, our forces need to be given the free hand. I think they've got it now to fire when it requires. In the past 24 hours, we've had about 15-20 incidents where our forces have fired at people. We've had 2 deaths, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 deaths on the Bangladeshi side. So, yeah, this is something that will go on for a while. So, we have to focus on our fencing. We have to focus on our border management. We have to focus on these things. We have no choice. You can't choose your neighborhood, right? This is what it is.
Yep. And since you mentioned it, I have to ask this. What do you think about, so people were saying that Trump is just joking about buying Canada and Greenland, but it doesn't seem to go away. And if anyone can pull it off, it's maybe Trump. So where do you see this
You don't need
falling?
to buy it. See, geopolitically, you need to look at something, and this is the Greenland demand is not new. They've been talking about Greenland since 1870s, actually. Post that, it died down during the Second World War. Post-war, they tried to do it again with Denmark. It didn't work. Trump tried it again in 2019. Then COVID came, so they forgot it. So the reason is that, you see, when you look at the northern map, right, Russia has a very strong military presence in the Arctic, right?
Mhm.
And when the Chinese started up saying that, we want to see the Arctic Sea route and all that, the Russians said, okay, I've got 2 contenders. One, the Chinese, 2, the Americans. So he militarized that place to the point that the NATO forces have 2 military bases. The Russians have 19 military bases today. And they control half of the world in terms of the north. They control half of the map. So if you look at the map, there are only 2 countries that can provide the US a counterbalance. One is Greenland and second is Canada. You've got Sweden, Norway, and all these guys which are there, which are pretty close to the US, but if close to the Russians. But if you want to control the northern Atlantic Sea, Atlantic Ocean, you want to control the sea routes and stuff like that, then you need to militarize that area. And without militarizing it, you're not going to be able to control it. So that's why Canada, come here. We need to work together and this and that. And Greenland, we want to buy you. Uh, another reason for Greenland is that it's shit rich with natural resources. It's got oil, it's got gas, it's got rare earth minerals, which today China controls pretty much 80-85% of the market as far as rare earths is concerned. So every country is trying to be its own game. We are trying to explore lithium in Jammu and all that stuff. That is because we don't want to be dependent on anybody else. So yeah, it's basically what the Americans also trying to do. It's not something which is rocket science. People take it to, oh, he's going to imperialist and this and that. Yeah, you can call it that. But the world is going to change today. The world order will change. The way that we knew the world, that the borders are kind of stagnant and they cannot be changed. Well, today people are realizing that borders are just temporary and they can be changed. So that order will take a little time to set in. You'll have certain countries taking steps of that sort, and then you'll have other countries also doing the same thing. Where we will also get our opportunities to do what we need to do. So the world is going to change. It's something which everybody spoke about 5 years ago. The world order is changing. It's actually happening in front of our eyes today. So
Yeah.
yeah, let America take this because it will create a precedence and everybody will kind of straighten out their borders. So I'm happy. That's not a problem. Having said that, it's also an interesting geopolitical game where NATO itself has differences, which was always kept under the wrap. So that's interesting to watch. And that tells you that these so-called Western institutions, which are, telling us what's right, what's wrong, how to live, how to eat, how to, not make your cows fart and all sorts of nonsense, today realize that their own house is in trouble. So that's
But
good.
yeah, but Meloni made a statement, I think 2 days ago, where she said that Trump is not seriously going to take over Greenland. So what NATO differences are you talking about?
Yeah, well, Germany doesn't want to see it. France doesn't want to see that happen. Denmark is a NATO member. They've said we'll fight Trump. So they'll fight Trump with the F-35Bs that the Americans have given them. How funny is that going to be? I mean, the Americans can probably sit down at the back, use a computer, and switch them all off. That's the end. So there are differences in NATO. There are major differences in NATO, and especially Ukraine is going to bring out a lot of differences. Meloni Europe is divided today. It's the older Europe and it's the newer Europe, which is kind of trying to shake away and come up. Older Europe is France, Germany, UK. These guys are dead. France probably a little bit, if Macron goes and somebody else, a little more stronger nationalist comes, things will be a little better. Although in India, you don't like to listen to that because Macron has been good to us. Having said that, the French have always been good to us. Either side, it doesn't really, matter much because for them, it's a great outpost in the Indian Ocean. You've got new powers which are coming up, although Italy is an older power, but it's trying to shake away its oldness and trying to kind of reinvigorate itself. You've got Hungary, which is a defiant power. The Prime Minister, by the way, of Hungary is in Kerala right now.
Yes.
You've got Poland, which is saying, bugger off, I'm not listening to all this nonsense. So you've got certain opposition which is coming up within the EU. And, these old structures that were made to keep the world the way it is, the NATO, the EU, the United Nations, these are all now, as the Prime Minister said some time ago, either reform or lose your relevance.
Yeah. Bringing you back to the subcontinent, Adi. So also, I can't let this podcast go without asking a question about Pakistan and Afghanistan. Afghanistan, when Taliban took over, there were some predictions that it's going to be anti-India, pro-India. It clearly is now very clear that it has been very pro-India and anti-Pakistan. So how do you see the escalation in Pakistan and Afghanistan going? And do you see a full-scale war? Because I don't think Afghanistan can afford a full-scale war with Pakistan or
Afghanistan
Taliban.
can, Pakistan can't.
Why do you say that?
Their economy is better. They've got more weaponry, and they will have more support from the world.
But the nukes?
You don't use nukes. You don't. You just don't. They're just to kind of. I mean, if Pakistan decides to use a nuke on Afghanistan, uh, That's the last day Pakistan will exist. It's simple
No,
as
but
that.
as a deterrent.
You don't, see, that's something which is very clearly seen in the Russia-Ukraine war. Did
Yeah.
Russia use a nuke till now? No. They can actually use it and break Ukraine and be done with it. Yeah, sit in sanctions for the next 5 years. After that, fair enough. Deal with the damn thing and move forward, but you don't do it, right? That's the whole thing. And Pakistanis, one thing that we must understand, Pakistanis are all fart, no shit. Uh, that's something that you must understand. The Afghans are much more full of substance as far as this is concerned. And Afghans, let me tell you, the Pashtuns are not going to spare them. They take their time, they take their place, they plan, and then they'll hit. They don't care about, oh, this, that. They don't have these political narratives that we fly in India. Oh, Saab is weak because he's not hitting back and this and that. In military terms, when you do stuff, you sit down, you wait, you find the right opportunity, find the right, vulnerability, and then you hit. And that makes it more effective, right? You look at what has happened to Pakistan today. A lot of people don't realize the situation that Pakistan is in today. It's a lot to do with our diplomacy. The alienation that Pakistan finds itself, if somebody tells me India had no role to play in it, well, somewhere some screw will lose. And that's very clear, because look at what Pakistan was, who used to listen to it at one time, and look at what it is today. It keeps yanking, crying. Only America sometimes gives it some bloody weight here and there. But beyond which, he's a big, fat nobody. Nobody cares what Pakistan is thinking. Nobody cares what Pakistan writes, what Pakistan speaks. Doesn't matter. So in that same context, if you look at Afghanistan and Pakistan, see, Pakistan has this habit of externalizing its internal issues. When they have issues internally, when they have crises, they try and externalize the issue to kind of create a little bit of a nationalism. And that's exactly what Bangladesh is trying to do. Oh, see, India is violating the border. Oh, get together. And then, they're just trying to create that narrative. It's a very simple narrative, but it works, right? Because people are nationalistic. People get emotional about their country. People get emotional about their borders and stuff just like we are.
Yep.
But as an analyst, I have to detach myself to look at these things. Then only I'll be able to figure out, okay, these guys are trying to provoke. That's exactly what the Pakistanis did, thinking that Afghans won't be able to do anything back. But the retaliation was hard. They've lost areas. They've taken up roads. Their Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is pretty much not there with them anymore. It's over. Pakistan, as we know it today, you can pretty much declare it's broken. There is no way Pakistan can come back to its original shape. It's not going to happen. So it's gone through a point of no return now. And that is something which is a big major development. On the side of it, you also sit down with the Taliban and you do your deals, right? Previously, it was happening under the wraps. Today, your foreign secretary has gone there, sat down with the Taliban. So, yeah, I mean, that's called realpolitik. You can keep talking about morals and values and all. I mean, all that is good to write. The real world doesn't work like that.
Okay. So again, you don't predict a full escalation war, but ironically, you see Pakistan being inflicted 1,000 cuts by Afghanistan.
Yeah, which is already happening.
Well, the terror attacks have gone up, but yeah.
It's not about the terror attacks. I mean, firstly, I won't term them as terror attacks at all.
Okay.
They're attacks.
Okay. By the TTP.
Yeah, they're attacks. They're trying to claim their land, which is good. Fair enough. If the Pakistanis can support so-called freedom fighters in Kashmir, well, then I will support so-called freedom fighters in Pashtunistan.
Got it. Makes sense.
That's how the real world works. I mean, we have to get rid of this thing that, oh, this is terrorism, you're support. Bull. I mean, are you trying to tell me that you will become a global power by just being nice?
No.
You be nice on the middle of the road, you'll not have trousers left by the afternoon. Having said that, the government has more information about what's actually happening. So they take their decisions a little more differently. Sometimes we don't understand it. In the long term, when we look back, we're like, oh, that's why they did this. Then that's how it is.
Yeah. Perfect, Adi. So I'll take the final question here. And I wanted to end on economy. So the strange thing is that a lot of even politicians are mentioning now that, okay, Chinese money coming in is not such a bad thing. Maybe it should come in for different sectors that are not very crucial to national security. So where do you see this? Because I'm pro any money coming in, as long as okay. So yeah.
Nothing Chinese. At the end of it, remember, this is a country that let me put it another way. You know the Kudamkalam nuclear power plant, when it was being done in South India, when it was being done, it was the Chinese that were funding protests.
Okay.
The sterilite copper factory, which a lot of workers are protesting today to reopen it. Who was behind the protest? It was China. Here is a country that plays with your systems. That's how they do stuff. What we do to them, obviously, we'll never come to know. Right? But they play with your systems. Because we are an open system, because we are a democracy, they take advantage of it. And that's something that we need to understand. Right? So any money, nobody gives you money without strings. Right? If you ask me for $100, I'll give you $100 and I'll tell you, okay, give it back to me by day after tomorrow. That's a string, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gives you funds without, nobody's a Santa Claus or whatever.
Yep.
That's not going to happen. Having said that, see, in certain places, you may need something, which is fair. I can understand that. But that should be the last priority.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. A lot of people will counter question me and say, Aadi, if you're saying this, then why is our trade going up? Well, that's because it's in my national interest to buy what I need to buy from them. I need to set up my industry, and if there are good machining tools available in China, I'm going to buy them. Till the time my own supply chain doesn't come up, well, I'm going to do it. But that's cash. I give you cash, you freaking give me the machine, and you get lost. I don't care. Beyond which, you can't interfere in my systems. So that's very critical to understand, that there is a difference between trade, which also makes China vulnerable. You are buying what you're buying. You're basically building your industry, which is going to be a competition to China by buying stuff from China. Right? 1 lakh crore worth of iPhones have been, Apple products have been exported from India in the past year.
So you're saying that the deficit is not
It's
necessarily a problem.
but it's not something which is a great problem. You got the money for it. Yeah, you got $700 billion in your bloody reserves. You can pay it off in half a day. It's not a big deal, right? It's not a big deal. And at the end of it, the Chinese will be interested with their slowing economy today. They would be interested to ensure that, yeah, we have a secure trading partner. And that's one of the reasons he backed off, because you were cutting him off. So nahi, yaar, ye mat karna, bhai. The entire world is cutting me off. Tu bhi maar dega, band bajegi. No, wait. As it is, militarily, he's not going to be able to challenge you, because the deterrence was getting beyond his control. He backed away because of that. Your rocket systems could reach Beijing. That does make a difference in the whole equation. It's not as simple as that. Oh, Chinese land le jayenge, ye ho jayega, 2000 square kilometer. Firstly, has anybody gone there and measured it? Take an inchy tape, go there. If you find 2000 square kilometers, call me. I'll sit down and deal with you. But come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. The Chinese themselves are saying we've gone back. We are saying they've gone back, but we're not ready to believe the Chinese or us.
Yep.
I mean, how funny can we get? Here we say, they've taken 2000. Acha yaar, let's say for a moment they've taken 2000. Why is it they're bloody Xi Jinping doing bhangra in the middle of Beijing? It's a simple question. You've beaten up the biggest emerging power in the world, and you're not celebrating it? Really? That Danveer, huh? I mean, come on, let's get real here. Here is a bigger power that came onto your borders. They tried to threaten you, and they walked back. Who won? Who lost? Now, at the end of it, let's look at the Chinese trade. Oh, we are buying nuclear equipment from China, somebody said last time. When you look at it, it's dials and gauges that you're buying from China for your nuclear plants. That's not nuclear equipment. That's dials and gauges. That's the problem with our bureaucracy, who doesn't know how to that comes under electronics, not under bloody nuclear material, you morons. But that's the way the world works. People don't want to dig in. They want to read the headline. Oh, border fencing is stopped. In the same article, it says the work goes on as it was before. What am I supposed to believe? That's a clickbait. We are falling for traps of propaganda, because half of us want our information in 60 seconds.
Okay.
We are so used to Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts that we want everything in 60 seconds. No. Itna detail nahi chahiye. Meko bas aap jaldi bata do itna kya hai? It doesn't work like that. Geopolitics is a time-consuming affair where you need to read history, geography, you need to read economics, you need to read foreign affairs, whole lot of things that need to be done before you come up with a whole picture. It's just not one news article, you become an expert. It doesn't work like that. I mean, people like me, I sit the whole day to gain information. I'm still nowhere close. There are times when I get caught behind the wicket and I'm like, whoa, okay, I didn't think of that. So that's how the world works. But then if you have full information and you then make analysis, it does make sense.
Okay, so Adi, what I'm getting here, what I'm taking from your conversation, from this conversation, is that we'll have to do a podcast on bureaucratic reforms as well, maybe next time.
Yeah, you can. But, that's the need of the hour. I find them, with all respect to the people who've done a lot of work in bureaucracy and stuff like that, and with all respect to people that are working there, but they're just not fit enough to handle the challenges tomorrow. How can an agricultural secretary become a defense secretary? What the hell does he know about a rocket or a guided artillery shell or a very Tejas or anything for that matter?
Yeah.
I mean, we keep cribbing about funding. Oh, funding here, there. Why? Because some bloody bugger is sitting on the file because he doesn't understand what is written there. And he's put an objection. So it goes back, it bloody comes back after 15 days, 20 days, 30. That's how the delays happen. I mean, I'll give you a small example. There's a border fencing which is supposed to have between India and Bangladesh, right? 22 crores was supposed to be released for Meghalaya sector in the past 2 months. 1 month ka budget tha 22 crores. They released 19. Why? Just some bureaucrat would have decided in 22 is too much. We will give 19 and let them continue. We will adjust the next time. That's how this bureaucracy works. It's not just in India. It's all over the world. It is so corrupt in thought process, not in physical corruption, in thought process, because they just don't understand the game. The guy has never seen a border in his life. What will he bloody decide how much money is needed? Make him stay there for 3 nights. Let him see the shots firing there and the illegal immigration that happens. Trust you me, he'll go back and sign the file upside down. Because he'll know, what the hell? Whoa, no, just do it. So yeah, there is a lot which has been done as far as the bureaucracy is concerned by this government, but there is a long way to go. And that's the only way we will succeed. This whole GST nonsense that you asked me, this is some bureaucrat sitting down and trying to decide, nahi, wo na sugar add hota hai, to ye, yaar, popcorn is a freaking popcorn, man. Just let it be. Don't waste look at the time waste that they're trying to do in terms of going into details. And that's not the problem of the bureaucrat itself. That's the problem of the education system of the bureaucrats. The British created bureaucrats so that the Indians could not do anything on their own. The bureaucracy, Indian civil service, was created by the British, where the procedure is more important than the output. Why? Why, if I need this, create a damn procedure and fix it? Why do I need to follow the bloody 4-file system and this and that and all that nonsense? So today things have become a bit better. For example, yesterday the army said that, replacements used to take so much time because the file would take 7 layers of command before it reaches the army headquarters, who would, if there's a gadi that has just gone busted, uska replacement ke liye it goes up. Today they're putting up an AI system where they will inventory the gadi is not there, they'll check the system which says the gadi is not capable anymore, automatic replacement shall be given. So it's not the replacement that takes time, it's the bureaucratic levels that takes time. So automatically the system will generate, bhaiya ye gadi isko bhejna hai, and you will have the gadi there.
But so they're not necessarily improving the bureaucracy, they're just cutting it.
Fair enough. That's what the corporates are also doing, right? Using AI to remove steps in systems. Fair enough. That's what needs to be done in the government. Do it.
Yeah, Adi, and I had this final question, and this is very close to my heart, right? Because people do question, because they know history, so they do question that Kashmir, is it really, why do India want, why is it India aggressively so fighting for Kashmir? Because let's say it's a predominantly Muslim population, and Junagadh was, Hyderabad was the exact opposite. And you got Hyderabad, leave Kashmir alone. But the argument that I give is that the same could be said about California, Arizona, New Mexico in the US. It was
like
a part
that,
of
you
Mexico.
can say anything about any part of the country, and why don't we just break up the country in 597 princely states that we were left in?
Exactly. But my point is that this was coming from Indians living in India. So my problem is that these people go to California, these people don't care about Tibet or Taiwan. Why are we being so selfish about why are we being so selfless about the world and being so selfish about India?
This is again the wokeism which is there in people. I don't, honestly, I don't like to comment on people personally, but this is wokeism. This is nothing but brainless nonsense without actually reading anything. Kashmir is not Muslim. Kashmir was named on Raja Kashyap,
Yes.
on Rishi Kashyap. It's a bloody Hindu place. It's where Sanatan was born. It's not. So these people need to, today, Pakistan, you may call the country Muslim, but the land is not. The river Sindh goes through Pakistan. Oh, the Bangladeshi can say, oh, this is a Muslim land. Pull. Your capital, Dhaka, is named on Maharani Devi Dakeshwari. There's a temple in the middle of Dhaka. Yeah, this is what happens when wokery goes into your head. Where I mean, I'm not even going to justify by giving an answer why Kashmir is India. It's a pointless discussion to have. Somebody says that to me, I'll just say, yeah, thank you very much. Cheers. Go to California, become gay, wear blue hair, and sit there. I mean, free Palestine. That's what you're born for, because you're not born in a country which is real. This is a real country. What these people are, and trust you me, these people will realize 10 years down the line how stupid they were. And they won't have any face to show anybody, because they won't be from here. The Americans are going to spit at them, because remember one thing, they respect nationalism. Any country, today you walk up to a Chinese and say, I'm a proud bloody Indian. You say anything about India, I'm going to beat your bloody backside. He'll respect you.
Okay.
Everybody respects a certain amount of strength and nationalism. You don't respect people who are weak and wimpy. Right? So these are people who, why people are dying. People die all over the bloody world. Your so-called forefather in the country in America, which most of these people have strings attached to America in their hearts. The first year of battle in Iraq, they killed 1 million.
Yes.
Who asked them anything? The other day, the Houthis from the deserts are firing bloody missiles at the American aircraft carrier. They went and bombed the capital. What did the capital do to them? Hundreds died there. Why not ask a question there?
Yeah, you don't ask Americans a question. So yeah.
It's a Hippocratic world, which the Western education system and the Western charm, for that matter. I mean, but things are changing today. I don't see that on the ground anymore. These are just few elitist organizations where the pass outs in the past, I would say about 3 years ago, were like this. Today, the same elitist organizations are singing songs about nationalism because they know which way the bloody Ganga is flowing. Okay. Right? Things have changed quite a bit, especially post-COVID. You can't do this nonsense anymore.
Nationalism, it's become cool now. Nationalism, yeah.
Yeah, it bloody well be. I mean, there's no such doubt. I'm an Indian. I'm a proud bloody Bharatiya, and there's nothing doing. I don't care what you think after that. And let me make it very clear. And I say that in my channel very, very clearly. I've told people, get lost. This is not a channel for you. This is the channel of a nationalist who will think India first. He will criticize his country as well. He will criticize his government as well. But when the government is doing good work, he will appreciate it. He will appreciate his country. He will stand by his country, come what may.
Yeah, Adi, on that note, thank you for having this conversation with me. It will be great if you could share this as well when I share it on my social media. And we also have a Bureaucratic Reform podcast coming up. So I'll keep on emailing you whenever you're free. Just let me know.
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.